Hello, my name is Marshall Gledhill, and thank you for watching my CH202 The Modern World final presentation. As you and I progress across this historical journey, you will be able to recognize one dominant theme that is prevalent along all pieces of work: reason. Woven through my presentation, I will talk to you about how reason has influenced humans of all colors and the decisions they've made to live, survive, and overcome the gender, race, and class constraints that European society has imposed on them. All of the historical pieces of literature have led to the shaping of the world we live in today, and I cannot wait to take you on this endeavor with me. So, what is reason? Reason is a statement or fact that explains why something is the way it is, why someone does, thinks, or says something, or why someone behaves a certain way. Merriam-Webster. During the Enlightenment era, or better known as the Age of Reason, intellectual and cultural movements were emphasized over the superstition of the old world and science over blind faith. Reason in the Enlightenment era is also predominant that it sparked new ideas such as liberty, progress, and the separation between church and state. What was Eureka's reason for joining a convent after living in an aristocratic French family during the French Revolution? Why did Kurtz change from his philanthropic ways of living to an imperialistic villain? Filippo Martinetti wrote the Manifesto of Futurism, explaining that in the 20th century is moving into a more modern era and away from antiquity of old traditions. Why? What was his reasoning? The Holocaust reaped the world of agency and exterminated millions of people based off race and religious principles. For what reason did Spiegelman write Mouse 1? Was it survivor's guilt? Tupac Amaru witnessed terrible and unjust acts against his people from Spanish colonists. What was his reason to cultivate a rebellion and start an insurrection on the Spanish ruling crown officials? Erika was a Senegalese black woman who was purchased as a child and raised in a wealthy French household before the French Revolution. Despite being raised in a wealthy home, Erika is restricted in her abilities. Because of ethnic differences, Erika is unable to pursue her studies or marry a wealthy man, leaving her feeling isolated from the rest of humanity. Erika is interested in the emancipation of Negroes at the turn of the French Revolution for the simple reason that the revolution's goals may benefit her condition. Erika didn't become more conscious of her race until she learned about the massacres of white people at the hands of rebel slaves. It was an illusion that I still like to cherish, that elsewhere at least there were people like me. Because they were unhappy, I thought them to be good. I became interested in their condition. Alas, I was promptly discovered my mistake. The Santo Domingo massacres caused me new excruciating pain. Duras. It was reasonable for Erika to feel this way because of her rebel descents, which continue to strip Erika from autonomy while increasing Erika's understanding of the Code Noir. Erika considers how she might find her own agency, such as joining a convent and seeking serenity with women of her same dedication, but Erika's severe depression, which has plagued her for years, has left her health irreparably ruined. We are products of our social context as human beings, and our self-perception can influence the type of life we lead. In Erika's instance, her decision to abandon her aristocratic lifestyle in order to live in peace brought her closer to her own self-perception and provided her a sense of belonging and reason. Erika's captivating narrative may still be seen around the world today. People of color are deprived of their agency across the world because of the color of their skin. Despite the end of slavery, racism has persisted in modern culture. While slavery is no longer legal, racism has become increasingly prevalent in today's culture, leading to political and racial agendas that have fueled movements like women's liberation, civil rights, and other significant and historical movements. Let's break out the horrible shell of wisdom and throw ourselves like pride-ripened fruit into the wide, contorted mouth of the wind. Let's give ourselves utterly to the unknown, not in desperation, but only to replenish the deep wells of the absurd. Martinetti. Filippo Martinetti was an artist, poet, and author, among other things. During the turn of the 20th century, Filippo released the Manifesto of Futurism. Martinetti is implying in his comment that as a result of the Industrial Revolution, old Rome is beginning to move from an antiquated way of life to a more modern way of life, putting old customs to the side to make room for the new. Filippo is screaming that now is the moment for people to seize new opportunities that are opening up, to embrace the unknown, and to replace old ideas with new ones. Martinetti was the father of the Futurism movement and emphasized the importance of speed, light, machinery, automobiles, and other modes of transportation. As you can see, technology, transportation, and fresh ideas are constantly evolving in today's society. Every year, a new car is designed and built with a sleeker design to allow for speedier travel. Land-based craft can now soar through the air at breakneck speeds. Through lines and satellites orbiting thousands of miles above the planet, information is sent at the speed of light. Because of breakthroughs in various technologies spanning hundreds of sectors, futurism has had such tremendous impact on today's world. People were encouraged by the futurism movement to keep exploring fresh ideas and concepts that would help humanity. In The Heart of Darkness, written by Joseph Conrad, we meet a man named Marlowe, as the Heart of Darkness takes off with its slippery narrative. Marlowe used to study globe maps as a kid and dreamed of visiting locations like Africa, Australia, and South America. Marlowe's identity began to improve as he grew older. There are three key themes that emerge when you read Conrad's slick narrative: ambivalence, hollowness, and evil. However, I'd like to delve deeper into the reasons for these motifs. What is the source of evil, hollowness, and ambiguity? There's a clear difference in character between Marlowe and Kurtz. Marlowe is a philanthropist of sorts who commands respect for no reason other than the fact that he's a good man. Kurtz isn't like that. He's a ruthless tyrant whose only goal is to enrich himself. Although Kurtz was a different man before arriving in the Congo. The word ivory rang in the air, whispered inside. You would think they were praying to it. A taint of imbecile rapacity blew through it all, like a whiff from some corpse. By Jove, I've never seen anything so unreal in my life. And outside, the silent, invincible, like evil or truth, waiting patiently for the passing away of fantastic invasion. Conrad. Marlowe watches heinous acts against native Africans carried out on the orders from imperialistic elites for their own interest. What, on the other hand, is the reason for such evil? Is the yearning for absolute power in the Heart of Darkness a result of corrupting influences like Leopold II? Kurtz is a true picture of imperialism and personifies this awful and corrupt way of living. In today's reality, the Heart of Darkness resonates true. Capitalist exploitation, intercountry inequality, and gender inequities affect large number of individuals around the world. We see people wearing the most expensive clothing, accessories, and shoes all around the globe. However, due to the imperialist ideas set out in the Heart of Darkness, the people who work behind the scenes on production lines, slaving away to produce material objects for individuals who believe it would help them rise in social position just because of their vanity. Those individuals are frequently ignored, deprived of their dignity, in order to make ends meet. In South America, Spanish colonists were invading the lands of the indigenous native people. At the time, a young mestizo named Jose Gabriel Condorcanqui of the Tinta region of Peru was on his rise to fame as cacique of the locals, renaming himself after his late grandfather and last indigenous ruler of the Inca people. Sickened by what was happening to his people, as such slavery, brutality, impregnation, and also of African slaves, Tupac Amaru led the largest uprising and rebellion against colonial Spain known to man. Filled with reason, with his wife Michaela by his side, and fueled by the outcries of the native people, Tupac sought to take down the crown officials and abolish the abuses being committed. Michaela was a major proponent for her husband's rebellion, and the two were able to cultivate around 6,000 Native Americans of South America to partake in the downfall of the Spanish crown. The kings of Castile have usurped my crown and by the power over my people for nearly 3 centuries, and burdened the vassals with unbearable taxes, tributes, customs, bans, cadastres, diezmos, quintos, spears, viceroys, court hearings, mayors, and other ministers, all alike in tyranny, selling away and auctioning justice to those who subscribe to the faith according to which things should belong to whoever pays the most, and which is shared by secular and ecclesiastical employees alike. With no fear of God, breaking like animals the natives of the kingdom, taking the lives of all of those who do not know how to steal, all of which deserve the most severe objection. Amaru. Today in Peru and Bolivia and all around the world, Tupac Amaru has instilled reason with his enlightened thinking. Amaru's rebellion has left a lasting impact on the world and has fostered the strengthening of identity and exacerbated nationalist ideas. Not only did Amaru leave a historical, impactful crater, so did his wife Michaela. Bastida's loyalty to her husband and intense love for her people, she sparked movements for women equality. In the 1700s, after Bastida's death, women in Latin America were becoming more involved in politics, economics, and culture, later leading to women's rights movements millennia later. Vladek and Artie have never had a particularly close relationship. A father and son with a strained relationship tell this compelling Holocaust story. The thorough portrayal of Vladek's Holocaust experiences causes guilt not only in him but also in others. What is the exact cause of guilt? Moss opens up with a discussion of family and how they split during the World War II to evade the Nazis. These life-altering decisions were taken on the fly of the moment in order to preserve the family as intact as possible. The family's regret arises from the knowledge that others sacrificed their lives for the safety of others. Furthermore, as a result of the sacrifices made by the deceased family members, various forms of guilt emerge. Artie is remorseful for failing to live up to his parents' hopes for their late son, Rishal, and not surviving the Holocaust. Artie's shame for feeling guilty stems from the fact that nothing he does will ever compare to or be as remarkable as surviving the Holocaust and exhibiting the war's long-term consequences. Trying to rebuild a reality that was worse than my worst thoughts make me so inadequate. Spiegelman. Finally, the author's decision to depict the characters in the graphic novel as animals underscores Nazi Germany's racism and intolerance throughout World War II. The Jews are painted as mice because mice are weak when attacked by cats. The Nazis are represented as cats, a reference to cats' domination over their prey. The Polish are stereotyped as filthy, repulsive, and apathetic race of pigs, adding to Vladek's hatred. So what did Maus come into being in the first place? The Holocaust was the most terrible act of genocide that humanity has ever perpetrated. The interwoven themes of the graphic novel shed light on World War II's impact, the Holocaust, racism, and the long-term consequences that followed the war's end. Maus is now widely regarded as one of the most insightful and heartbreaking graphic books ever produced. The story follows the compelling life experiences of a Holocaust survivor as told by the son of a Polish Jew. In today's society, the Holocaust is a topic that all high school students are taught about. The anecdotal cartoon depicts the slaughter of millions of people of all ethnicities and origins. Maus covers a lot of ground with racism as the main issue. Through the protagonist Vladek, Spiegelman holds the reader's attention long enough for the reader to begin to feel the ache of survivor's guilt. The impact that his work has had on the globe is one of the reasons why it is so telling. The masterpiece is widely remembered and is typically used to soften the blow of the everlasting, haunting aura of the Holocaust and Hitler's reign. From France to Africa, Italy and Germany, and all the way to New York and South America, we have been on a historical crusade thanks to reason. It's astounding to think of the events that have molded the modern world, all because someone was influenced by someone else, thought of something newer, creative power, lacked agency, and thousands of other reasons. The ideas that arose from the above-mentioned works have been entwined in what everyone encounters today. Whether it's about politics, religion, economics, race, sexism, or society, the modern world is constantly changing, frequently repeating itself without our knowledge.